We're back, and thanks for staying with us. International Women's Day was marked around the world last week with a celebration of female achievements and the strive for gender equality. A Facebook video prepared by the Air Force to honor and empower the women in its ranks got loads of attention, but for all the wrong reasons. Here's Glenn Field's report.
International Women's Day, a day meant to celebrate and empower women. Some groups struggle to accept certain issues, such as progressivism and gender equality. So much so that standing establishments even receive pushback for embracing cultural evolutionary trends. This clip was posted for International Women's Day by the Israeli Defense Forces. However, it was soon taken down by the military after supposedly facing pressure from religious groups opposing integration of female soldiers into combat roles. Now, the IDF is being criticized for obliging the religious groups by the very demographic it sought to empower in the first place, sparking criticism from lawmakers. Member of Knesset Tzipi Livni from the Zionist Union Party tweeted this out.
What they say to women in combat is what they say to women in politics, and what they say to every successful woman.
The national religious affiliated website Srugim called it provocative, and other critics of the clip say that women need to be in the kitchen and that there's physically no place for women in combat. The IDF spokesperson's unit has tried to distance itself, saying that it was produced by media personnel at the Air Force magazine and is not an official product of the IDF spokesperson's office. All in all, this is another case of friction from religious imposition on one of the pillars of Israeli society.
For this week's Think Tank Central, we're focusing on the role of the IDF, Israel's People's Army, in bridging gaps between the various communities of the religious minority and the nation's secular mainstream. And with me to make sense of it all is Rabbi Dov Lipman, a former Israeli lawmaker, and Rabbi Dov Halbertal, former head of the Office of the Chief Rabbi of Israel. Gentlemen, welcome.
Good to be here.
Rabbi Halbertal, let's begin with you, and for the sake of our international viewers, we'll spare them the gory details of this week's drama and go straight to the issue of why the ultra-Orthodox community believes it should be exempt from service.
Because the fact that being in the army, you saw the picture of a yeshiva now in the film, and you saw the internal life and in the spirit, very unique spirit life, closed in a way that you will not be influenced by the most materialistic place all over the world, means the army. Going to the army influences, going in the army makes you, being in a very materialistic atmosphere, and that ruins the spirit of the yeshiva men.
I mean, you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid it. When you say materialistic, do you mean the opposite of spiritual?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. It means that if we want to preserve our DNA, our way of life, closed way of life, we cannot go to the army. It's not that we are avoiding the army. It's not we are looking, for a situation that we will not serve. It's not the issue. The issue, it could have been also with the universities. We are not going to the universities. It's not only the army, but the army here in Israel it's a very severe issue, and that makes the point. And the issue is that, we cannot go to the army because
you don't want to expose them to the influences.
And it will ruin our way of life. We have a very unique and special way of life. We are preserved. Going to the army will open us. It's not. That's the whole reason.
Let's move it over to Rabbi Lipman, and we'll go back to you. And what's your view? Why shouldn't the ultra-Orthodox join the vast majority of the national religious community and, of course, the secular in paying service to their nation?
I believe they should. And I also believe that while I value everything Rabbi Opall-Rome said in terms of the importance of spirituality. Rabbi Opall-Rome is speaking as if we're in 1948, when the secular army was very secular and would not have made any accommodations for the religious. Today, we live in a world, and I was part of writing a law which even put this into the fabric of the army, where there are special units for ultra-Orthodox young men, where they will have prayer services 3 times a day, where they have Torah study sessions, religious texts every single day, where they will not have a female commander, which could be against the sensitivities of this community. I visited those units. They are so spiritual, so religious, and also participating in what the rest of the nation has to do, which is defense. How can one group say, we refuse to be part of it because we have to protect our spirituality, while others are the ones who have to go to the front lines
and make the ultimate sacrifice?
And here we live in a world today where you can do both. And let's remember the call of Moses back in the Bible, where he said, towards the end of the book of Numbers, your brothers are going to go to war and you're going to stay here. That's the call which I hear, and that's the call which our community hears, where you can combine together both spirituality, religious life, study, prayer, and serve the people and perform the ultimate commandment, which is defending the Jewish people.
Rabbi Opall-Rome, what do some people believe that your community thinks that by being spiritual and praying full-time, you're also defending the Jewish state?
Yes, of course. It's the matter. You know what? If we will not exist, the Haredish community, we will assimilate. We, I mean the Jewish people. The wing and the sect that preserve the Jewish nation all over the world is the Haredish people. That's the tradition that we are keeping, the real tradition. It's not like Rabbi Lippman said before, that it's a matter of facilities. That's not the question.
But it's not assimilating in the U.S. Army or the British Army. It's the army of the Jewish people.
You want to believe me, it's easier to go to the British Army than here, because it's easier to assimilate in among non-religious Jewish than among Gentiles. But it has to be said, it's not the facilities, it's the atmosphere. You cannot, I was in the army. I served in the army. It's the atmosphere. You cannot avoid the thing.
The food is kosher. They pray 3 times a day.
Let us say there are prayers and there are kosher food. I'm not sure also about it. It's said it exists.
It's absolute.
No. When you come to the time, it's not so. But let us say the facilities are very good. It's not the problem with the facilities. You are among 90% non-religious people with the iPhones, with all the the talks about women.
Okay, we have to move it over to Rabbi Lippman. You're shaking your head, obviously.
Yeah, first of all, to say it was a very quick yes that Rabbi Opall-Rome said, that we believe that we're protecting with our spirituality. You can combine the two together today. You can have boys in yeshiva, and then some go to the army. Some go to the army, some stay in yeshiva. There's no reason why there can't be a rotation. There are yeshivot that are set up that way. My own son is part of that system. There are thousands and thousands who combine both together. And again, the notion that Rabbi Opall-Rome, when he served in the army, it's not the situation today. And these are facts on the ground. And I think
indeed, the ranks are swelling with from members of the
and the tension that this creates amongst the Jewish people, that one group says everyone is exempt. I want to be very clear. Boys who are really studying day and night as their only pursuit, there's a value for the Jewish people to have a select group that's doing that, and I support that, and my party would support that. But the notion that everybody who just says, I'm a yeshiva boy, 55,000, is somebody, are they really learning Torah day and night? It is an easy way out, and it's not fair to the rest of the nation.
Wait, we're going to come back to this. We're going to have to take a little break, and we will be right back with our experts on this hot button issue. Stay with us. We're back with Rabbi Dov Halbertal and Rabbi Dov Lippman on the inherent friction and conflicting values between Israel's religious streams and the secular majority serving in the IDF. And Rabbi Lippman, I want to ask you, military commanders past and present will privately tell you that they neither need nor particularly want the ultra-Orthodox in their ranks who are unwilling to serve. Do you expect that the community will ever embrace the idea of an IDF as an institution that represents all of his people and that does not threaten its values?
So I don't think we want to drag young men who don't want to be in the Army and who are going to be there against their will to be there. But the question is, what kind of a framework do we establish and what kind of environment where they want to perhaps go and serve and be part of it? I can tell you, once they go and they serve, they feel so proud, they feel so full of worth, how they're contributing, and you see the transition that takes place. In the committees that I sat on, the Army leadership 100% said, we do need manpower. So there's a need for it. And what happens is, if they start serving, now maybe the rest of Israel can serve 2 years instead of 3 years. We're one nation. We're one people.
As long as the concept is grasped.
That's correct.
I want to switch the conversation to women in the IDF. And does the bulk of the Orthodox community view women warriors as illegitimate?
Of course. Also men, not only women, but women is, you know, it's terrible. He says, you know, like an innocent one, everything will be, you know, very simple, coming a Haredi to the army. The agenda today in the army is a feministic agenda, strictly a feministic agenda, bringing into the army every woman that wants to serve. And it means that Haredi, once come to the army, he will have a woman commander. He will have it. You say no, I say yes. I tell you yes. You cannot rely on your words, on the army chief. I cannot rely upon it.
Rabbi Lippman, will that be so bad, a female commander?
I do feel that it's a mistake to take a female commander for religious men who that will be a problem with. I'm all for any women who want to make progress in the army and be in the army. I don't want to hold back their right to progress, but we can set up a situation where the religious boys will not have a commander, which goes against their religious sensitivities.
Rabbi Dov Halbertal and Rabbi Dov Lippman, thank you so much for joining us.